What was that? I should kill everyone and escape? Sorry. The voices. I'm kidding. Jeez. That's not what they really said.
So, one of my favorite DC characters is Harley Quinn. In case you couldn't tell.
No shit.
And I don't know what it is. I guess it's just the wittiness and the uncertainty of what the character can be that makes her intriguing. So many different adaptations of her, from the villain side to being with the Joker to her being away from the Joker and just kind of doing her own thing and becoming more and more of a, I don't ever want to say hero, but more anti-hero than she is villain, and it makes it kind of interesting with what they do with the character each time something new comes out. As recently in the movies, she started out in a relationship with the Joker, and now she's off on her own, and the character seems a lot more interesting now that she's less attached to the Joker character. But there's some things that you might not know about her. Now, hardcore fans might, but in the end, if you're just kind of like a fan of the movies, the comics, whatever, then some of this stuff that I'm about to tell you might go right over your head, but these things just caught my eye the most, from other love interests to what else she's good at to actually having some sort of superpowers. It really intrigued me doing the research as to what we don't necessarily know about her, some of the things that are kind of talked about but not talked about enough to the point where a lot of people know about it. And one of those things is actually there's two different ways she met Poison Ivy. The first way is in Batman the Animated Series, in the episode Harley and Ivy, when Joker, done with Harley's antics, kicks her out, and she ends up going to this museum to steal the Harley Quinn diamond. And in the midst of things, Poison Ivy sets the alarm off while she's trying to steal some toxins, and of course Harley and her run into each other.
Hey, aren't you that plant lady, Poison Oakie?
Ivy! Poison Ivy!
Sorry. Harley Quinn, pleased to meet ya.
To which the historical greeting starts, as does the friendship, and from then on out we kind of see her going back and forth from the Joker to Poison Ivy. However, mainly if you read the comics, because obviously Harley Quinn wasn't introduced in the comics, but if you read most of the comics, she befriends Poison Ivy because the Joker's trying to kill Harley, and she obviously doesn't like that, so she gets away from him and befriends Poison Ivy, someone who has these powers of being able to control plants and just do other things, who is immune to the Joker's little flower toxin thing, or just his laughing toxins, because she is made of toxins herself. So yeah, it just seemed like the right fit from the beginning, as Bruce Timm and Paul Dini came up with the idea of the two female superheroes becoming friends to kind of form that female empowerment that I guess they were looking for at the time.
Heads up!
Now, since then though, since the New 52 started, they've kind of garnered more than just a friendly relationship, as in recent adaptations, they have been in a more intimate relationship, including in the Harley Quinn animated series, where they're actually married now, which isn't just in the animated series, but is also in Injustice 2 issue number 70, where they actually officially tie the knot. So that is actually a thing. Most people don't think that her and Ivy were like officially a thing, it's just kind of hinted, but there's many different comics, and like I said, even the Harley Quinn animated series show now where it's just like, it's an official thing, it's no secret anymore, so they went from friendship to actually just being together overall with a more intimate type relationship. But Joker and Ivy actually aren't the only love interest that Harley Quinn has had. She's had a lot over her time in the comics, with some unusual ones. Green Lantern kind of caught my eye. I didn't realize that she was actually part of the Lantern Corps for a little bit after she got the powers from Run of the Rings, and her and Green Lantern were a thing, and that didn't last long. She's always had a thing for Bruce Wayne, never like in a relationship, but if you watch the animated series and read most of the comics, she always talks about Bruce Wayne. They even hint at it in the Birds of Prey movie when she names her hyena Bruce after quote-unquote that hunk Bruce Wayne.
You're Bruce Wayne, the boy billionaire. Unattached, I see.
May I help you, miss?
Uh-oh, enter the jealous girlfriend.
They kind of hint at that. She doesn't know that he's Batman, so there's that, but she also, you know, kind of has feelings for Batman, as she does kind of give him a little smooch at the end of the episode Harley's Holiday.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Rick Flag was another one that I found on the internet, which is interesting because if you watch this past Suicide Squad movie, the newest one, you can kind of see the relationship centerfold. Not necessarily an intimate one, which I guess maybe in the comics they have. I don't know. I haven't really read that many Suicide Squad comics. But in this movie, you do see Rick Flag care more about Harley than he did in the first one. Now, in the first one, Rick Flag just kind of thinks these guys are just obviously evil criminals who don't have feelings, and then he finds out through working with them that that's not true. And I guess Harley is just, you know, I guess he's able to feel her more than others because she was at one point sane and actually was going somewhere with her life. I mean, most of these supervillains are, but with Harley, she had the job she wanted. She was, you know, doing wonders, and then it was the Joker that kind of swooped in, manipulated her, and now she is where she is, mainly because of, well, herself, but also him for making her think that she was, like, the perfect sidekick in this case. But yeah, I think it's less intimate with Rick Flag and more of just like maybe she has a thing for him but he's not interested, so she's kind of just accepted the friendship as is and has taken it as nothing more. But she was kind of flattered that Rick Flag was the one who came up with the plan to save her in the new movie, and she even, you know, was gonna start crying about it because again she was like, wow, I can't believe you thought about saving me, a criminal. Like, you could have just left me to die like Waller wants us to, but you actually wanted to come back for me, and that's really something that we've been seeing lately.
We're here to save you.
You were gonna save me?
It was a really good plan, too.
Well, I can go back inside and you can still do it.
Here's the weirdest one, though. Now, she's been shipped with Deadpool before. Obviously, that can't happen because of the whole DC Marvel thing. And there is a whole list of better relationships with, or just like small little relationship things here. But when I was looking this up, and this is true, this was the weirdest one because, you know, there's one where she's in a relationship with Dick Grayson. You know, it's fine. He's of age. This is when he was Nightwing, so he's a little older, so that's fine. But the one that I found that really kind of creeped me out was apparently she was in a relationship with Shazam. And I know what you're thinking. Yeah, it's a little weird because Shazam is a 14-year-old boy named Billy Batson.
Why don't you have a seat right over there, please?
Who, when he says the magic word Shazam, turns into this big, muscular, buff, almost as strong as Superman type character. That's what makes it weird. Like, if he was just like your typical Superman character, nothing wrong with that. But even in his Shazam form, he's still a kid. So I don't really know who thought this was a good idea, but people apparently are clamoring for this to hit the big screen because in 2018, right around the time they announced that Shazam was going to come out, which I think it came out in 2019, they asked Zachary Levi, the actor playing Shazam, if there was ever going to be like a hint or something of a Shazam and Harley relationship, and he refused to answer the question. Now, mainly probably because DC is probably like, just don't say anything about the future movies or whatever, just about the now. But also it was probably kind of awkward for him because whoever asked him that question he was probably like, do you not know that Shazam is a child? Like, that's a little weird considering Harley Quinn is supposed to be like around 25 to 30 years old. Like, that's just not even a tad bit weird. That's just completely wrong. So that was the one that caught my eye the most because it was just the grossest. And another thing that people assume about Harley that actually isn't true is she does have some type of superpower. Now, maybe not early on, you know, when the Joker first pushed her in the acid, or if you go with the story before the New 52, when she just went psycho and helped break him out of Arkham, and that's how she started herself. If you remember, in Batman the Animated Series, the episode I mentioned earlier, Harley and Ivy, when Ivy takes Harley back to her little hideout in the toxic chemical area, the restricted area that nobody should be able to go at, she has to give Harley a shot because, well, Harley is not immune to these toxins, so it can definitely make her sick and even kill her.
I hate shots.
Now, you're not immune to poison like I am. And you won't last 10 minutes here in Toxic Acres without my antidote.
Oh.
So, with that shot, Harley is immune to most toxins, not all, but most toxins, and it also gave her some strength enhancement, and she also, I did not know this, has the power to heal a little faster than most humans. I knew Ivy had that, and it's even like Spider-Man, like Tobey Maguire, he was stabbed in Spider-Man 3, and he kind of healed pretty quickly. Well, apparently that's Harley. She can get, like, stabbed, and she could die, but for the most part she heals faster than most humans do. She also, gained some better acrobatic ability, even though she kind of had that before everything, but her strength, agility, and her healing got a lot better along with the poison immunity. Other things that she is good at is, well, she was a roller derby champion, and that leads us to another thing, which is if you've ever realized her outfit change over the years, it went from the obviously iconic Jester outfit that we saw in Batman the Animated Series and other comic adaptations to a more modern look with Margot Robbie and Suicide Squad. But if you watch Harley Quinn the Animated Series, you'll see that it's still the red and black color scheme, but she's not wearing the Jester outfit anymore. It's more of a, I don't know how to put it, but they actually said that this is a roller derby outfit. So she basically wears a roller derby outfit now because she used to roller derby, she was a champion at it. She also was a burlesque dancer, and before she was a psychiatrist, she was a nurse. I mean, obviously, I think you have to start out with that to work your way up. I don't know how snuff and med school works or just the medical field in general.
8 years of college, a 3-year residency, and he says nurse.
And one thing that caught my attention, she was also a punk rocker, which, I mean, just fits her so well in this case. Just her energy overall says that. But yeah, apparently she was in this punk band of sorts with Poison Ivy, or there was another story where they were in a band together, like something like that. Like, it was very interesting reading into that some adaptations have her down as, like, former punk rocker. I thought that was pretty intriguing herself. Harley wasn't just the Joker's sidekick, but she was also Power Girl's sidekick for a little while. Now, how this happened was Harley saw Power Girl kind of laying there hurt, and she was going to help her, which she did, but she realized that Power Girl had kind of lost her memory, so Harley convinces her that, hey, I'm your sidekick. They go on missions together. Once Power Girl gets her memory back, she's like, oh, wait, no, and obviously that ended quickly, but that was just an interesting thing there. And I think one of the last things to talk about here is that everybody always questions whether Harley has a kid or not. In recent adaptations, like Injustice, she actually has a daughter named Lucy Quinzel. We know this because she was talking to, I think, Black Canary after they kind of were fighting, and Black Canary was like, oh, I'm pregnant. And Harley kind of started to feel for her a bit and told the story of how, she had Lucy, she hid the pregnancy from Joker that whole time, and she ended up sending Lucy to live with her sister Della, so that way she can be safe from the Joker ever getting to her. So Harley's just kind of upset that she can't be there for her and all this kind of stuff, even though in Injustice Joker's dead. So not really a worry at that point in time, but that is what it is. But there's also other adaptations where her and the Joker have twins. Now, there's one comic I read recently called Batman White Knight Harley Quinn Edition, where she actually has a son and a daughter who are both twins. The son is named Bryce, and the daughter is named Jackie. She named her son Bryce after Bruce Wayne, and her daughter Jackie after Jack Napier, who in that story was the Joker. So in some adaptations, she just has a daughter. In other adaptations, they're twins, son and a daughter, but there are adaptations of her story where she actually is a mother, and there are stories where she's retired from the crime thing after Joker dies and she is a single mother raising her kids. Or there's the story, like I mentioned in Injustice 2, where she's not necessarily the mother of her kid, or I think from what I heard with the Lucy story when she sent her off to her sisters, was that she told Lucy that Della is her mother and Harley is just her aunt. So Della, her own daughter, doesn't even think that Harley is her mother because Harley told her that to keep her protected. So we tend to see that too a lot where, when it comes to kids and safety, she's always like, she doesn't like seeing kids get hurt. If you remember the new Suicide Squad movie, she fell in love with that guy, but she ended up shooting him because he mentioned his plan to, take out the whole entirety of Maltese, including the children, and she was like, I look for red flags, and killing kids is just one of those red flags.
Recently, I made a promise to myself that the next time I got a boyfriend, I'd be on the lookout for red flags, and if I saw any, I would do the healthy thing, and I would murder him. And killing kids, kind of a red flag.
So it kind of shows that she's got some sympathy and some heart. She's just not a psychopathic killer who's just going to kill everybody. She has her limits, and if someone tries to reach that limit with her, she will do everything she can to protect the ones that she doesn't want to see hurt. Those were just some things about the Harley Quinn character that I found interesting, and that maybe you didn't even know about. Like I said, hardcore fans might, but there was even some stuff that I didn't know, and I'm a fan of this character myself, and I learned a little bit of just new things about her overall. Like, I know it's a fictional character, but still, it's always cool to see what other adaptations and what other stories artists and all this kind of stuff are going for, and I really like the direction they have been taking her in the live-action adaptations of the movies, and hopefully, with Margot Robbie still signed on to do 3 movies as Harley Quinn, we get to see more and more of that keep progressing, and maybe we'll see her run into Poison Ivy and Catwoman, do the Gotham City Sirens thing, and Lord knows what else at that point. But yeah, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay safe out there, wear your mask, get vaccinated, and I will catch you all in the next one.
Seriously, I'm dying back here. Fine.
Oh, holy.
It's not so bad. Smells like discipline.